Morning everyone, it's Blue Basser 86. Well, it seemed like quite a few people enjoyed the breakdown on my rods that I've got in the rod locker, so I'm going to continue on, I guess, until people lose interest and or until I make it all the way through here. But I was going to just go through my tackle storage. I started to and realized I have way too much to do it in just one video, so I'm going to try to just kind of break it down into parts. That way, if I did it in just one part, it would really just be, this is my crankbait box, this is my jerkbait box, this is, you know, that doesn't really show what I've got, what I'm carrying. So I thought I would break it down a little bit more in depth, because there's probably some stuff in some of these that I don't even remember that I've got, and this way you'll get a little better look at everything that I've got that I carry. This box that I'm starting with here today, it's going to be crankbaits. Anybody that knows me knows how much I love fishing crankbaits. Not really, but you got to carry them because they work at times. Most of the time they don't work at all for me, but when they do work, they work pretty well. This box doesn't ride around with me a lot of the time. This is just kind of big cranks and my deeper divers. You can see there's a lot of them. Got these big square bills, like the big Lucky Craft SKT Magnum, big 6 cents Cloud 9 Magnum, and the Strike King. I believe that's the 8.0. It's one of the only deep run crankbaits that I don't mind fishing. It's the Strike King 6XD. Of course, you gotta have your powder blues, your parrots, whatever you like to call them. That's a 5XD and 6XD. It's another 6XD. This one was taking on water, so I had to drill holes in it to get the water out and seal it back up with some epoxy. But this one has actually been a good fish catcher for me, so I went through the steps to fix it. Got a couple Spro Little John DDs. Those got a nice knock to them, and they're not a ton of resistance for a deep running bait, but those are good little fish catchers too. Another 6 cents Cloud 9. I'm not sure what diver that is. I know I found that one. I've found quite a few of these deep divers. Just makes it easier that way. It's another 6XD Chartreuse Sexy Shad. My biggest deep diving crankbait bass came on that 5XD that's kind of sun faded, and you can see it's got quite a few miles on it. But I got a 7.5 pounder out of Lacine on that one many years ago. But yeah, this box is just if I am pretty sure that I'm going to be throwing deep divers, or if I want one of these big crankbaits. A lot of times if I want one of these big cranks, I'll just grab one and put it in my regular cranking box. But that's everything in that one. This is just a 3700 deep style box. This is all the crankbaits that I carry. There's probably people hyperventilating with that lack of organization in there. I have a general idea of where everything is. That's all that really matters to me. I kind of got things like shad patterns, craw patterns, chartreuse. These are kind of like mid-divery baits, mid-depth diving baits. These are some of my a little bit bigger, mostly balsa, square bills, shad wrap style baits, your wiggle wart and rock crawlers, and these are my small, just basically small baits, but mostly small square bills. So let's dig in here, see what all we got. Got the 6XD, or 6XD, a DT6, a DT4, These frit sides are some of my favorite baits, favorite square bills, flat sides, whatever you want to call them. That's one of the bigger versions, but you'll see several of those because I do like these baits a lot. And the chick magnet. I haven't caught anything on these yet, but I have high hopes for them. Keep fishing them. I haven't caught a lot of fish this winter on crankbaits, so I'm not really blaming the bait yet. The Storm Smash Shad, there's a bunch of these in here. They're on sale at Bass Pro and one of their spring fishing sales, and that's a really good little cold water bait. Same thing with these Flicker Shad Shallows. This is number 7. Great little cold water bait. It's a good walleye bait too, if you like to cast cranks at walleye, which if I'm fishing for walleye, I would much rather be fishing artificials or casting for them. So it's a vaguely, I can't remember the name of it. It looks like a good bait, but man, I can't get bit on it. I'm gonna keep carrying it though, because it looks good, it fishes good, casts good. One of these days, the fish is gonna mess up and get caught on it. This is a little duo. I think that's a 59 shad, a little ice fish. It's a fun little bait to fish with. They're expensive for the price or for the size, and they don't catch a lot of big fish, but they do get a lot of bites. Another frit side. I have very few mega bass through here, but every once in a while you'll find one sprinkled in. And there's one of them, a flap slap. They're good baits, but mega bass's fragility is kind of make me tough to fish with them. It's a 1.5 hard knock. Good when you want that little bit extra noise. It's a green Gizzard Shad, one of my favorite colors. Another frit side. This is a Spro. What does it say? Pure Crankbait 2.5. I don't even remember where this bait came from. I'm sure I found it, but I must have liked it enough to put it back into the box. Another one of the Duo 59s. This one's caught a ton of fish. Oh, it's a 62 DR Shad. Use something like that. Got another Flicker Shad. That one caught some big fish last winter. Another 6 cents. That one's kind of blown up. Just happens sometimes, but it still catches fish, so I'm not really worried about it. It's a 75X. Little baby bull shads. These little things look good, but they're so light that they're kind of tough to fish with. It doesn't get used a whole lot. 6 cents. I believe that's a curve. No, not a curve, but a it's not a swank crank. I can't remember off the top of my head. I said there's too many of them. I love crankbaits so much that I kind of forget the names of them all. That's 6 cents Axis. I got this thing. Everybody was going nuts over them, and took it out and caught a fish like my first cast with it, and I've barely fished with it since. The old Shad Wrap, number 7 Shad Wrap. Those things will save the day sometimes. It's an old Lucky Craft Rick Clun Bull Bream. Man, that thing's caught a lot of fish. It's a 2.0 size. It's even caught some muskie on that one. Some Flap Slap KO Buzz's Baits. They paint some real nice baits. If you want to get a hold of Drew, he can get you a bait painted up. You can see that's a pretty nice looking little bait. I know it's caught me some fish. It's another Flicker Shad Shallow. See, when I find a bait that I like, I kind of have a tendency to stick with them pretty good. Some Norman's, I think they call them the Speed In or Speed Crank. But these are another one that they look real good and they fish real good, but I ain't had any luck with them yet. But I'm gonna keep trying. 1.5 silent green gizzard shad. 1.5 perch color, but it kind of looks like a baby bluegill too. So the 6 cents, I think those are their 50s or 100. The old Bandit. This is an old one here before they got bought out. It's a 200 series. The spring craw, I think. There's one of the Buka crappie. These are way heavier. They fish a lot nicer. So if you're looking at one of the plastic swim bait Bukas, I would definitely suggest getting one of the bluegills or the crappie instead of the shad. And the Ott's Garage Rapala. That's big shad. Got the silicone packs. Those are always a good idea. You get a hold of those from whenever you buy something and just toss them into your tackle box, and they can save you a bunch of money on replacing hooks. Soak up the moisture and keep your hooks from rusting. That was a big issue for me for a while, where my hooks would rust on me, and I'd have to, it was like every winter almost, I'd have to go through and replace all the hooks. And even though I don't have a whole lot of crankbaits, that's a lot of money, especially if you put premium hooks on them, like I put Owners or Gamakatsus on all mine. That is a lot of money to put on all of them. Jump into the craw colored ones here. Another 75x 6 cents. And flicker shad. Another one of the Norman's speed cranks or speed ends. The whatever the DT6's demon color, that's what it is. Something like that. Yeah, you got to make sure you have plenty of those. One's probably supposed to be my kayak box, so we'll go ahead and set that one aside. The Black Magic. Everybody freaks out about this color, but it hasn't done much for me. I found that one, so not really a big loss. Another Fritz side. I think that's candy apple red. Flicker shad. There's the 6 cents curve. Found that one too, but it hadn't caught me any fish yet. Looks good, just hasn't worked for me. It's another old Lucky Craft. Another really good color. It's a 1.5 Rick Clun. I think that's a silent one. Yeah. 1.5 KVD. Another flicker shad shallow. You gotta have you some gold in there for them cloudy days or that dirty water. A trick magnet. This is the one that I was really excited about. The color I was really excited about. Not yet. Hasn't happened yet. There's another chick magnet. It's not like I don't have the color options for them. It's a 13 fishing jabberjaw. There's a little tighter action than the 6 cents bait. Makes a pretty good amount of noise. I haven't fished that one enough to really give it a fair review though. It's a H2o Express. Just their house brand bait. If you want some cheap baits for that really work, these H2o baits are solid. DT4, little smallmouth colored one. I don't think I've even made a cast with that one. The Ott's Garage. Hard Knock 1.5 KVD. This is the old Baby Carp Bandit 100. That is a fish catching machine. I'm afraid to use it though because they don't make that color anymore. The old I don't want to use that, it's working situation. I'm afraid I'm going to lose it. You might notice that none of my baits have split rings on them. It's because I use snaps on all of my crankbaits, except for my little tiny ones, or the very finely balanced ones. like these, the flicker shads, because I use those on a spinning rod. But saves a ton of time. Doesn't affect the action of the bait. It might even make them work a little bit better. But I know I have caught fish because of those snaps that I wouldn't have caught. Just switching colors of baits. I was just going to set all those out. But switching colors of baits that I wouldn't have just because you don't want to switch colors to make 1 or 2 casts. But I've done it before and caught good fish. Specifically, I caught one that was over 7 pounds last year when I switched from a shad color bait to a green and purple or chartreuse and purple. Made like 2 casts and caught a 7-pounder on it on the same exact spot. So I know it caught me that fish, and that pretty much made me a believer. There's another 6th Sense 75X. This is not a Spro rock crawler. This is a gosh, what is it? It's I'll have to come back to that one when I think of it. I know it looks exactly like one, and it fishes just like one. Let's see if I can remember. Another H2o. This was probably my most effective color. You can see, maybe see it's pretty scratched up. Another Norman's Speed Crank. Headhunter Firetail, that's what it's called. Flicker Shad, Fire Tiger. This is one of them baits that I found. I tied it on like the day that I found it, and I caught so many fish on it that day. I've caught a lot of fish with it since then too. DT Hot Mustard, DT6 Hot Mustard. It's one of the baby flicker shads. It's the number 5. So I thought I would want because I like a number 5 shad wrap, but these things are tiny. See them next to that 7. It's a huge difference, like twice as big. Even on a spinning rod, those are tough to cast. 6th Sense 75X, the Jaint Juice. Something about that faded purple, I think. Faded chartreuse and purple. I think it really looks like a bait fish to them in stained water. Some Mistake Colored Bandit. See, it's chartreuse on one side and red on the other. It's another one of the old ones. It's a really good fish catcher. Gotta have you some chartreuse blackback 1.5 Strike King. A Flicker Shad Shallow. This is a DT Thug. Been around for, or haven't been around for a long time. But that thing caught a lot of fish for me once upon a time. I haven't fished it in a long time though. That Homer color used to be one of my favorite colors. Basically like a fire tiger with no stripes. Another Mistake Colored Bandit, 100 series. They ate the eyeball off of that one. Series Bandit, chewed to pieces. It's just a fire tiger one. Used to catch a lot of fish up the river at Lacine on that one. This is a Rick Clun Thunder Shad. It's made out of cedar. I had one of the best tournaments I've ever had on that bait at Truman of all places. Flicker Shad Shallow. Another H2o. I don't have a whole lot of variety in my cranks. As I say that, here's one I haven't had before. It's H2o Reales, the 55 SR. And this one got in a place it wasn't supposed to be. That's a Strike King HC 1.5 flat. This is one of my favorite crankbaits, but he needs to be over here. Fritz side. That's number 5 Fritz side. That's my favorite size. There's bigger ones and smaller ones, but that number 5 is my favorite. Another 6 cents. I believe I found that one also. And this is a little tiny Berkeley Digger 3.5, which is also kind of out of place. There's so much stuff that gets pulled out of these boxes especially during the kayak tournament season, where I'm just like, I want this bait, I don't want all these. I'm just throwing them into my kayak box, and then I get home and not like I sit down and really go through and organize them real good again. It's just throw everything back into the box real fast and get back to whatever I gotta do when I get home. So you just saw this one. That's the Bleed Bully. These are some of my best big fish baits during the winter time. That Strike King HC 1.5 flat. See, it's a little bit deeper runner, but a lot of my big fish you see caught at Lacine during the winter times on that bait. Strike King 3.5 XD. These are going to be as deep runners as come out of this box. 6 cents, little Cloud 9. Small enough I can fish it on my regular cranking stuff. I believe this is the color that I caught my 6-pounder on a couple weeks ago. Another Strike King HC. Lucky Craft Bevy Shad. Kind of a jerkbait, kind of a crankbait. I fish it more like a crankbait, so it's in my crankbait box. Another Cloud 9. The smallest size, whatever size that is. Another HC. Another number 7 Shad wrap. Chartreuse Blackback HC. Strike King Lucky Shad. Another HC. And another HC. Another Cloud 9, and this was the one I was talking about that I swapped out because of my snaps, and I caught a 7+ on it. I believe that is the only fish I've caught on this bait. That's the bigger size Storm Smash Shad, the number 7. Trying not to hook myself while I'm doing this. These are some crankbaits that I actually enjoy fishing with, because they're not as much like crankbaits, but they're shallow water baits, so they kind of remind me of fishing my wobblers, so I enjoy them a little more. This is one of the original black canoe balsas. The bait is all chewed up. You can see I've hit some rocks with it. You try not to, but it happens. Just a little bit of epoxy over them and it covers those cracks, but they're still there. Not gonna fix them. That fish is caught, or that bait's caught a ton of fish. It's one of the Dave's Baits black canoe balsas. Caught some real nice ones with that too. Yeah, there's another one of those. I don't really need 2 of those in there. It's another black canoe balsa, the red craw. The Cloud 9 Mini Mag. This is another black canoe balsa, the Chartreuse Blackback. That one has caught its fair share of fish, especially down at Truman during the American Kayak Classic. It's the Strike King. This is the number 4. The medium-sized Magnum crankbait of theirs, 4.0. There you go. It still has a snap on it, or a split ring on it. Haven't fished with it yet. It's the green Gizzard shad, black canoe balsa. Just seems like I'm always reaching for the river shad one. But when I was fishing down at Truman and that water was like 6 inches of visibility, I went for the chartreuse, and they ate that one up really good. These are just a mess. This is a lot of smash shads. And smash shads. I mean, these things were like $1.47 or something like that, so they're a good bait. It's that flicker shad again. So I bought a whole bunch of them. I probably got 15 more of them hanging up over there. And smash shads. Because they're not only a good bass bait, but they're good walleye bait or crappie bait, white bass, whatever you want to fish for. And smash shads. I think that might have been the last one, actually. Nope, there's one more right here in my hand. And smash shads. And we got some number 5 shad wraps. And number 5 shad wraps. It's some number 5 shad wraps. That one's caught a lot of fish. So is this one. This was one, I've had this one, man, since I was a teenager. I used to fish this one a lot. During the really cold months, I'd put suspended dots on its belly, and I would just drag it. I wouldn't even reel, because it would just barely float. Caught me quite a few keepers doing that. That's a glass wrap. Man, that bait's got a ton of fish too. I believe these two, that one's a mega bass for sure. Deep X 100. I think I've caught a couple of fish with it, but not much. I don't think I've ever even thrown this one yet. I don't even remember who makes it. I thought it was Mega Bass, but I think they write their name on it. This is an old Rebel. I think it's a Fast Track. Yep, that's what it says on the lip anyways. That Rebel Fast Track. I was probably not even a teenager when I got this thing, and I've caught tons of fish with it. I haven't fished it in a long time, but you know, some baits you kind of carry for this nostalgia of it, and that's one of them, I guess. It's that Headhunter Firetail. One of the few rock crawlers I have. Don't believe I've ever caught a fish with it. Just found it. This is not an actual wigglewort. This is one that was custom painted by Drew at Buzz's Baits, and it still catches the fish really good. Same deal, another one by Drew at Buzz's Baits. Another really good fish catcher. You can see it's pretty chewed up. It's another one of those Headhunter Firetails. Really good looking bait. I probably will catch a fish with someday. This is an actual Pure Apollo wigglewort. I have a whole box of them, but I only carry a couple. This is not. That's another one painted by Drew. Go ahead and laugh at this one, but supposedly this is a killer bait down at Stockton. This purple and black rock crawler. I found one that was in rough shape, so I sanded it all down and painted it with a Sharpie. I've only ever made a couple casts with it, but I figure even the fish are laughing at it. It's another custom painted wigglewort, blank. I'm not sure, I can't remember who did that one. So it's another 6 cents curve, 55. It's another one of those Headhunter Firetails. Another one painted by Drew. And this is a Lucky Strike G5. Those things were really good when they first came out. I don't know if they still catch fish like they used to, but I know back when they first came out, they were killer baits for me. Caught a lot of smallmouth down at Melbourne. Little Berkeley Digger. Pretty much just throw these on spinning rods, mainly for smallmouth. It's a little tiny Duo Realis Crank 48 SR. That little sucker is loud. You can fish it fast and shallow. And the smallies seem to like it even though it's bluegill color. KVD 1.0. Another Digger 3.5. This is a Speed Trap blank. It's another one painted by Drew. And that one has caught who knows how many fish. It's a little Lucky Craft 0.5 teeny tiny bait. Can't remember, nope, that's not it. Say my wife caught her personal best smallmouth on one of these little crankbaits. Of course, I caught what was mine for a long time on one of these. It's another 1.0. Another 0.5. There it is. Boy, that thing's in rough shape, but this teeny tiny little thing my wife caught an almost 4-pound smallmouth on. This is an old, not Rista wrap, an old fat wrap. Rapala fat wrap. That thing's over 20 years old. Lucky Craft Fat CB 0. Long discontinued. Used to catch a lot of fish on those. My personal best smallmouth was on one that's in here still for quite a while. Another 0.5 Lucky Craft. I'm pretty sure I found that one. Another 1.0. That one's chewed. Another old fat wrap. Those little suckers were fish catchers. It's too bad they discontinued them. Another 0.5. Another 1.0. We got the Normans. This is I believe a baby in, deep baby in. This is supposed to be like Rick Clunn's secret crankbait or whatever, but it's not really much of a secret, I don't think. Catches fish though. This is the one I caught what was my PB smallmouth for a while, a long while I guess, out of Melbourne. But lip's been busted off, sanded it down. Still works just fine. Just doesn't dive as deep, which it didn't dive very deep to start with, but yeah, that little tiny crankbait caught a 5-pound smallmouth. So, that's the end of it. Like I said, thought we'd do it this way, to do it a little more in depth. So otherwise, as you can see by looking at this box, you're not really, even if I open it up, so you can see into it, you're not going to really see very much. So I thought I would do it this way so we could actually break down and get down into it and look at what's inside of it, and I could kind of, I guess, go back a little bit on some of the fish that I've caught on them and kind of tell a couple little stories along the way. But yeah, so I guess if you liked how I did that one, then let me know. We'll do the next one the same way, or maybe I'll do it different, or maybe we won't do it anymore. But anyways, that is it for the deep dive into the crankbait box. So until next time, we'll see you then.